KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're the Real Estate Rat Pack. Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Just in the nick of time right there, didn't I?
Yeah. I'm texting you. You got 60 seconds. You're in the elevator.
Exactly. I was in the elevator like 60 seconds, and then guess who made it here for the duet?
Kelso had the limo stop off and pick up donuts before he came in. You know, he's just running a little bit late.
You know how it goes. Every once in a while, you got to do that.
The limo guy's tapping his watch. You know, looking.
He's
in
like,
the
"Hey,
shop.
man, you know, you got to get out of here." You know, he's you know, but the problem is the crowd. When I got there, the crowd was all around.
Fine.
They wouldn't let me out of the place. That is correct. You know, the police escort also could not get the people off the street.
I recognize you. You're that guy from the radio.
Yes, that is correct. You know, I tell them all the time, I've got a face for radio.
All the time.
All the time.
Oh, wow.
Cheers.
You know what? That's like one of my favorite comments. If anybody says, "You look familiar," I say, "You might know me from radio."
and they give you about a 30-second blank.
Yeah, it takes a few seconds, and it usually hits them, yeah. So.
That is correct.
Too funny. That's too funny.
Not a bad one, actually.
Well, I'm so glad that you can make it today. I thought you decided to take a holiday weekend off, and so everyone's here today.
Yeah, everyone's here as usual.
But I won't be here next week.
I know that is correct.
I will be in San Antonio.
You'll be in San Antonio.
Time.
I'll be serving time for the Texas Association. I'm a regional vice president for the Texas Association of Realtors, and I've been doing that for about 12 years, and this is right now. It's my last year. I hadn't been reassigned.
Well, what are you going to do when that's up, Rob?
I have a life, maybe.
I'm going to look into crocheting.
You know, I'm still on committee.
Macrame.
Yeah, you know, I'm still chairman for the professional standards. I'm
right.
I'll be chair for the risk management. So I'm still doing a lot of volunteer work.
That is correct. Well, you know, you're my go-to guy when I have a question about real estate.
Well,
or if anybody else has a question about real estate.
I get a lot of those phone calls every week about what's going on. So we're here today, and you know what we're doing is we're going to talk about post-inspection services type things. Because a lot of times, you know, when Ashley goes out, you know, Ashley A.B. Bowles, who is one of our great sponsors, goes out and inspects a home, and sometimes an inspection leads to another inspection.
That is correct.
And with us today is John Dowdy with Permapeer, who another one of our great sponsors, and who kind of seems to be showing up every week.
Yeah, unfortunately, either live in the studio or to bring us breakfast, which is always really good.
Which I did give him a hard time about because he did not bring us any breakfast today.
This morning, really?
Look,
look, man, if you're going
to fall in the limo and I couldn't get out of the street and all that business.
I know, so. you know, but all those girls were just following me down the street, and I kept trying to tell them, be careful, but then all the guys are pulling up, and they're, you know, all want to get involved in the action. It's a rough morning this morning.
You know, if you're gonna not bring breakfast when you're a guest, and only when you just show up randomly, then we're never gonna invite you anymore. Yeah, we're never gonna ask you to be a guest again.
all right.
Minimum standards here, you know. It's all your fault. You started doing it.
We enjoyed that Jason's Deli's those breakfast croissants.
That is correct.
They're awesome.
Chris,
he says that with such flair.
Yeah.
Yes, he's like, I enjoyed those breakfast croissants.
But anyway, we're talking about today.
One shameless plug, $47.50.
Yes. or free breakfast.
Or free breakfast.
There you go.
That is correct.
Your choice, Jason's Deli.
So back to our serious conversation. Or do we really want to talk about real estate today? It's a holiday weekend.
It's a holiday weekend. It's just time to relax, let our hair down, have a good time, right?
Well, if you have some hair to let down.
I know, I don't have any right now. Well, I was talking to Joe, actually.
Who has even less.
One of my employees was just randomly comes into my office and says, "You didn't tell me we're off Monday?" And I'm like, I had the problem of assuming that you knew.
It's on all the calendars. It's a national holiday.
But to her credit, she said she used to work at a car dealership in their marketing department where they were all like double time on the hours for every holiday. So I was
Right.
like, okay, well, that's fair enough. But
I forget every holiday just because I work all the time. So it's one of those things that I'm like,
oblivious.
They reminded me on Friday, like, no, Monday we're not going to be here. I'm like, why not? And they're like, because it's a holiday.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, good deal. Okay, that sounds cool. I'll still be working somewhere.
Much earlier on Tuesday, right? Slave driver, Scrooge.
Far from it, fortunately.
No, I know. No, you're one of the most generous guys I know. So back to John
Back to
Dowdy.
the conversation.
We want to talk about this. We don't have to.
Isn't the theme,
It's our show.
isn't the theme today, what you don't know can hurt you?
It's kind of
Generically?
it's kind of a post inspection things, because a lot of times when you'll see something like I say, when Ashley Bowles, who again was one of our sponsors, will put something on an inspection report,
Right.
which might lead to another inspection.
Yep.
And
Best home inspector in town.
he's awesome.
He does
Yes.
a great job.
He is awesome.
And, part of what makes him really good, by the way, is he does all this on work on his home, so he knows everything behind the wall. Pretty crazy.
Very true.
I saw him last night. He just got finished pouring a slab for somebody.
Yes.
So,
yes.
yeah, he's very, very, very
He has a
knowledgeable.
tendency to volunteer himself for projects. I don't know.
I can't wait to have a project to give to him.
Yeah, no. Makes two of us.
So, are we going to come back and talk to John, or are we just going to keep rambling on? Or
No. I was waiting for the question to come out. I'm absolutely fine. Yeah.
How about those Astros? I did watch the Little League World Series on just nothing to do with anything.
Yes. It was actually pretty good, by the way.
It was really good.
Yeah,
It was just
absolutely.
on. I randomly watched it. It was
Yes.
pretty impressive.
And they had that one girl who was really good,
Yes.
actually.
Oh my gosh, 71 mile per hour fastball.
Yes. Yep.
That's
So-
How old
insane.
was this kid?
Yeah.
She's like 12.
Holy
I'll tell you, if I put all my energy behind throwing a ball, I get like 40.
I'm with you. I'm like,
with a running start, right?
Yeah, with a running start, exactly.
The crazy thing was, and this is how, off the beaten trail we're going here, is that
Wow.
they said that in Little League, because of the smaller field, that pitch is the equivalent of trying to hit a 91 mile per hour fastball because of the size of the field. It's a smaller distance. You're like a 12-year-old kid trying to hit a 91 mile per hour, ball.
Wow. I have a hard enough time hitting a 20 mile per hour ball.
You're right.
Or maybe one that's standing still.
I'm all for T-ball myself. So, anywho, how about the foundation repair?
Yes.
Well, going back to what we were talking about earlier, inspections can lead to other inspections. And what we see quite often is that a real estate inspector will go in and flag a home for foundation problems. That's not always a bad thing. Okay. Now, Ashley Bowles is an awesome inspector. I unfortunately have not had the opportunity of following up one of his inspection reports. However, what an inspector's job is to do is to alert the buyer or the seller or both parties of what the potentials are. Typically speaking, inspectors are not trained in every single field. So to do so, you'd spend a lifetime, and you need to get paid more than that
Right.
to do that. So what we'll do as a company, and what I've done for a long time, and what my colleagues Brian Gilchrist will do, he'll run in and evaluate a home based on an inspection report, actually make a site visit, and really put two and two together with it. What's going on? What is causing the movement? What's causing the signs of concern? What the potential risks are, and if necessary, what a repair plan is to go with it.
Yeah. Well, I actually had it happen. I live in a townhome, and it's a monolithic slab for all the units. One large slab,
Right?
And they
always
actually
fun.
it wasn't fun for who had to repair it. But what they did is they went in and they did what they call internal repairs. In other words, they have to actually bust out a hole in your floor,
Right.
my expensive tile, and they dug down. It looked like it was very strange to see people below my floor. I don't have a basement. It's like I can see them down there working, and they're about 6 or 8 feet down. And some of those.
That's probably a little much, but I mean,
It looked like 6 or 8
it
feet
might
from
look
my
like 6 or 8
perspective.
feet,
but
but no,
anyway,
it's-
they repaired that. But then they came back later on and repaired. They did an excavation of the house to repair the leaking plumbing, because this was built in 1982.
Right.
And so the pipes had broken, and so that's why the slab had an issue. A lot of times that happens, and there was some black pipe that was used back in like the 60s that actually kind of dissolves.
It's cast iron.
Yeah.
Usually.
And what happens is that the earth becomes the pipe. But that area of that house is going to be constantly very wet in that spot. So if you see that it's always wet in an area and you don't know why, sometimes it's a dissolved pipe. And that's when you start having foundation issues.
Right. Well, I mean, and it's always advised to homeowners, hey, go get your plumbing checked, get a hydrostatic test once every couple of years is what I advise, and just see if it's leaking. Make sure your pipes are in order.
Yep, I would totally, absolutely agree.
We're letting that one go.
I'm over here eyeballing Joe, going,
Letting it
"What's he
go,
got in the
letting
bag?"
Letting it go. Reminder of a conversation we had, I don't know, a couple shows
Last
ago.
time we had
so.
Permapeer on.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
absolutely.
The
So-
time before last.
I don't know
Last
if
time
we can have
held
these
our
guys
composure.
on anymore. It just
Exactly.
spirals out of control.
It just spirals out of control right there.
It does.
But you know, one of the things though, we were talking about inspections and talking about post-inspection reports. A lot of times they'll note on there, drainage not draining correctly, or water pressure low, et cetera, et cetera. And then what they'll end up doing is they'll having, as you mentioned, saying, I need to have we're going to say a structural engineer to come in and take a look at this, et cetera, et cetera. A foundation actually does affect a lot of different aspects because of so many things that go into the foundation and go out to the street, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, the foundation is probably, and I would consider it the single most important thing. Now, it's not the only important thing.
Yeah, I like roofs
but-
a lot too.
Yeah, roofs are good. Walls
Roofs
are good.
I like roofs.
ACs are nice, especially here in Houston. But as far as foundations go, I mean, if your foundation decides it wants to get a little crazy on you and wants to move around, everything else in the house is tied to that, whether it be your plumbing, your structural, load-bearing walls, your roof, everything else. So, I mean, that's where it can get a little tricky, and that's where people can get really, really frightened, is because, oh my goodness, my foundation's moving. I've had a little saying, we've got 3 F words we don't say in the real estate business: fire, flood, and foundation. And Rob's eyes got freaking huge.
I was going the complete opposite direction, by the way.
I think. Yeah, no
There's one
kidding.
more, yeah.
We have a
There's
7-second
probably a
delay
few
button,
more,
so
I'm about to get cut off the air here. Hold on.
Yeah, when you said that, everyone's like, "There's 3 F words." We're like, "Oh crap!" Our producer's sitting over there. She's like, "Oh my gosh, where is that button? I've never had to use it."
I thought we were referred to as the bad boys of Christian radio.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
we can't be that bad though.
We're the bad boys, but we don't want to get a fine. Let me tell you that.
That's right. No, I mean, everybody's concerned about foundation problems. I mean, the biggest thing I can tell you to do is, look, if you've got questions, get an expert out there, because quite honestly, who studies foundations? Nobody.
Yeah. That sounds entirely boring.
No, I get it.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a lot of reports. I've seen a lot of reports where they'll say a cable's exposed. Talk about that a little bit.
Post-tension
Post-tension
cable?
cables.
Yeah. Usually what that means, now, not all the time. If you have one exposed through the float of the slab, then you got big problems. But
Or explain what the float of the slab is.
right, well, the float being the actual finished section of the slab, what you would consider your floor, your base floor. So if you were to rip up the carpet, rip up the tile, whatever floor covering you have, that would be what's what we call the float. Now, most of the time when we talk about post-tension cables being exposed, it's going to be on the very edge of the slab. Now, it's going to be the exterior beam, and the little concrete caps they use to cover it up and make it look pretty will fall out. Unless there's something sticking out of there, or there's a big nasty crack, or something goofy looking, those little concrete caps fall out all the time. They did it on my house. They'll do it on all of them.
Yeah, I see it on inspection reports quite a bit, but it needs to be replaced because you can start rusting.
Right, it can start rusting. It can start rusting the cable, and the easiest way to do that, you can contact a contractor. You can call people out to do that. I mean, and once again, without seeing your particular problem, if this applies to you, is
Toothpaste.
Yeah, toothpaste.
Toothpaste.
And you can get the tube, you just squirt it in there.
Squirt it in there, and
Yeah,
Even it
putty
out.
it in a little bit.
That's
I'm
right.
not calling you guys to help me repair anything.
Bubble gum and toothpaste.
Oh, wait, that's only sheetrock.
MacGyver
That's
used to
only sheetrock.
do everything
That's
that way.
right. My bad.
Well, you see, you can go get you a spatula and just kind of you can run down to your local hardware store, pick up a bucket of hydraulic concrete, mix it up in a little tub, and dab it in there. It's an easy DIY kind of thing.
If you let it continue to rust, what could happen?
Well, the whatever locking mechanism they use can eventually rust, and it's got to get real bad before it gets to this. But it can eventually cause the cable to no longer anchor into the side of the slab. You can lose tension in it, and effectively that particular cable is no good anymore. And we can get into what the importance of those cables are later on.
We
I know
are
it's gonna
actually.
come up on break.
We are coming up against a break right now. You know, time flies when you're having fun or when you're running late. In my case, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back.
Yes,
Having a good
we
time.
are. Yeah,
You
we're
know, one of-
talking on the break.
We were talking on the break. You know, one of the reasons why I was running late is because I got my two beautiful kids here
Yes,
this
you
morning.
do.
Actually.
You do have beautiful
So-
kids and smart too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Very smart.
Absolutely. We'll see if
Good.
I can get Andrew here to come in and yell on the radio here in a minute and be like, hi.
Anyway, we talked about earlier that the function of a cable, because not everybody knows what a post tension slab is, and I think predominantly in most of your production homes, post tension is, from my knowledge, probably the last 30 years, dominant.
Right. I haven't seen anything built post 1995 with a rebar in it. I mean, driveways, sidewalks, things like that, sure. But as far as your actual slab itself, I mean, I don't know of anybody who's putting rebar in your foundation. What the function of a post tension cable is, and it's kind of a neat dual purpose thing. You lay the cables in, and then you pour the concrete around it. What the cables do, they act like a skeletal structure for the slab. Just like the human body, you know, you need your bones to hold everything in place and hold everything together.
I was watching Chris make
Oh,
sure.
no, I was listening.
I'm paying attention here.
We need to pull it out
All
of the
good.
downward stall real
That
fast.
is correct. That is right.
All good.
As long as I don't look at Rob when you're speaking, I'm fine.
I don't know.
Why is it every time I show up, I act like a
don't know.
12-year-old?
I don't know. Whatever comes out of yours or Rob's mouth, Joe and I just have to laugh.
Fair
It's your own
enough.
show.
I'm-
You could
I'm the
call
straight-
it the innuendo show.
Innuendo show?
I am the straight guy, man. I don't know.
Straight guy.
I'm just trying to ask the questions and, get a straight answer. And
Yep.
you guys are sitting there.
Welcome to Innuendo Show.
I mean, I guess we talked about this morning, day old donuts. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a neat little show.
Right.
But that was courtesy of Vaughan here. I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about
The skeletal structure
yeah.
of the slab.
Yes.
Basically, what it does, it gives the concrete something to adhere to, gives the concrete its form, and allows it to bond together. Now, the tension portion of post-tension cable is but they'll tighten those cables up in order to provide exterior tension inward. So it basically compresses the slab, try and hold it from wanting to walk out or do anything wild. The cool thing about post-tension foundations when it comes to what we do here at Permapier, they're a lot more forgiving than a rebar slab.
Or a mother-in-law.
Or
I love holiday shows.
They're great.
I love my mother-in-law, if she's listening.
But there's a lot of post-tension that goes on in there, huh?
Good tie back.
Oh, wow.
Hey, you know what?
How you like that one? I just tied back on the tie back.
That is correct.
Post-tension, tie back. Anyway.
long story short, folks, I mean, post-tension cables they're a good thing when installed properly. If an inspector says something about it, we could come out and take a look. I guess the main point here is if you have questions, get a hold of an expert.
If you have questions, actually call us.
I just never knew slabs were this funny.
Yes. Yes.
What happens if you have a cable tension foundation and one of the cables actually breaks?
Funny thing you ask that. I had an instance a few years ago. Actually, it didn't happen to me. It happened to one of my colleagues. He gets a phone call in the middle of the night. Some lady said, "My foundation exploded."
That was so funny.
So,
I mean, how do you determine that in the middle of, you wake up to a loud noise and your first thought is, my foundation exploded.
So the immediate advice to her was, get out of your house. I don't know what you're talking about. I'll be by in the morning.
Yes.
Right?
Seek help.
What had happened was one of the caps let go, probably because of it being rusted. Now, the other theory, and I didn't see this house. I don't know. I'm only speculating. It was either the caps were bad or somebody had over-tightened the cable and one of the caps let go, and it shot the cable out of the side of the slab about 6.5 foot.
Wow.
It probably sounded like a firecracker going off or something. I don't know. I imagine it'd be really loud. There are a couple companies, and I don't have any on hand, that will actually go in and retighten those cables if necessary. They can thread a new cable through. They've got a couple of different methods of doing that. And they use a hydraulic ram or a hydraulic machine, very similar to the hydraulic machine that I use to drive piers in. And they'll tighten it to the proper specifications. They'll put the anchors in, and you're good to go. So if you lose a post-tension cable, if you're having repair work done, let's say you choose to break out in the interior of your home basically by jackhammering a hole in the center of your house as opposed to tunneling it to access an internal pier, it's not the end of the world. It can be fixed.
Well, question I've got, I was down actually in Galveston last weekend. Went to Moody Gardens, big shout out there, a lot of fun. Anyways, you know, I
$750.
That is correct.
Moody Gardens.
Anyways, in going down there though, I was noticing everything is really pier and beam in that area. I mean, everything is down there is pier and beam, especially when you start getting to League City and start moving some of the areas on the coast right there, and then obviously all of Galveston. What's the difference, really? I mean, from a foundation perspective for a home, right? You have your normal post-tension slabs, then you've got your pier and beam. The pier and beam, how do those sort of work?
Pier and beams it's an older technology,
Right.
Back before we started pouring concrete that was strong enough to hold together, you'd put a pad and block down or some kind of support, put a wooden support structure down, and you build the rest of the house up off of that. One of the big things I see for Galveston, League City, anything closer to the bay, building a home on a pier and beam structure, a lot of times that's to elevate the home out of the floodplain in a less expensive manner than bringing in, filling in the lot, piering it, pouring a big old giant slab up, out of elevation.
Yeah.
So
when I was building custom homes, I did conventional slabs with piers, which basically you have a large grade beam, and then you'd actually do some drill tests to go find your first real firm strata of clay.
Yep.
And then I use a bell-bottom pier. So I was usually going down about 8 foot bell-bottom piers like that, and then I use a what they call a void box rather than tie it to the slab so they wouldn't cause too much stress on the slab and stuff like that. And those were pretty successful. But I think in custom homes, I think it's still being used, not so much in production homes.
Well, in the interest of the what you don't know can hurt you kind of thing, is there something that, as far as foundation or maintaining a foundation here in Houston, is there anything that you can do to avoid problems, things that could cause you issues down the road?
There are things you can do to deter problems.
I need guarantees.
Well, it's like
I'm kidding.
Like a used car lot here. If the muffler falls off, man, I'm sorry, buddy, I can't help you.
What'd you call that? A tail light?
A tail light warranty? I was talking about a crummy job I had a long time ago at a used car lot. Yeah, so
I think he's talking about things like soaker hose,
right?
And things like that keep around. And
here's the thing: I can put everybody to sleep with preventative maintenance stuff. Or you could go to www.permapier.com. There are the 10 most common mistakes made by homeowners. It's actually a list on there, and it's got some really neat stuff. And I cannot for the life of me, wow, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I cannot for the life of me remember the name of Brian Gilchrist's blog. He goes by the Houston Foundation guy. You can search him on the internet. He's got a really, really, really awesome blog on there. It's got a lot of
could you come prepared next time?
Yeah, a little bit. I can bring a little more knowledge and breakfast next time.
Really.
Okay, the breakfast is what we're
I would say priority on the breakfast.
Real quick, like I want to talk about, because some companies are using just where they're driving the piers, forcing it into the earth for support. You kind of do both. You do what you call typical piers that are poured concrete, and then some that are also kind of explain those processes.
There are a multitude of piling options out there. Some companies choose to use one or two or stay exclusive to one particular type of repair. What we've done is we've tailored our services to meet the needs of everyone. Your most commonly used pier in the Houston metro area, really in Texas, is going to be a press pier, where you use the resistance of the home or the load of the home as resistance to drive a pier into the ground using a hydraulic press. They're less expensive that way. I offer the same lifetime warranty on that pier as a Godzilla crazy pier. And
that's a technical term. Godzilla.
That's a very technical term.
Crazy. I haven't heard that terminology before. I'll put that in the archives.
We have all kinds of terminology.
Our producer
here at
really
Perma
needs
Beer.
breakfast over here.
Yeah,
Her stomach was growling. I heard it all the way across the room. Now she's bailing on us.
yeah.
She's going to get a day-old donut.
Dale donut. Concrete press piers, we use a concrete segmented piece of so basically a cylinder. That once again is the most common. You can use steel segments where you use a steel interlocking segment. You can use
When you say
bell bottom
interlocking, is
piers.
that with a cable? Where the cable?
No, they're offset, so you have an inner set and an outer set. Basically, what it does is it doubles the compressor strength of the pile, and it also keeps it from being able to shift back and forth or move or anything. Almost fits together like a puzzle piece, and that's a really effective pier. The only thing I don't like about that is the cost of those piers down here in Houston are so great because we don't have any accessible bedrock. Well, accessible may be a choice term because it's about 2,200 feet deep, but and I don't feel comfortable trying to drill all the way down there.
Feet. Yes.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not on the crew from Armageddon, so
Yes.
House in a Hole Homes. How can I help you?
yeah.
Now, how far down do these piers have to go to stabilize the home typically?
It
in
depends.
Houston?
It really depends. Those steel pilings drive a lot deeper because steel provides less friction than concrete. What stops the piling here in Houston metro area is that it's not. There's no bedrock. There's not a shelf down there. It's the applied friction from the soil against the pile. I've had cases in Houston where we drive 3 feet deep. I've had cases down south, Sugar Land, Stafford, Missouri City areas where we've gone 30, 40, 50 feet with concrete. And then I've had a house.
my.
Yeah, the last time I did steel piers down in Sugar Land, it was on a big old giant, heavy two-story house. And we drove piers for 85 feet.
Wow.
Steel. And I was looking at it going, I bid this job wrong. I'm losing my shirt today. So
Wow.
Well, that's amazing.
Because Houston, our soil is mainly clay, isn't that correct? I mean,
right.
we're very clay rich.
people-
It depends.
Yeah.
Actually, you're the one that told me about that app.
Yeah,
you can
there's
there's an app that'll GPS. They'll show you what kind of soil you're standing on.
right
by
where
where
you're
you
standing.
are.
Yep.
Really?
It's
Yes.
called Soil Web, and you can find it on. I don't know about Androids. I know my iPhone. I can find it, but
I got an Android.
yeah.
Soil
you do?
Web.
Okay. Yeah. It's a neat app. You can figure out what kind of soil you've got. You've got a couple of different types, and once again, I won't go into. Got Vaughan over here playing magic tricks on me. I don't know what's going on. I don't think I've had enough coffee this morning for that. But
I thought it was his gang signs again.
Yeah.
gang
Exactly.
signs. Better watch out, man. The FCC might be listening. So
Yes. I'm sure they tuned out 5 minutes ago. I'm sure.
Right. The Soil Web, though, that's
Soil Web. It's a neat app. It's got all kinds of stuff on it where you can find different soil classifications. We're basically divided between sand and clay. Most people refer to the Houston soils as gumbo. It just doesn't taste as good. So.
Yes.
well, what doesn't taste as good is whenever we have to go on a break.
Yes, we do.
But actually, what is good is because during the break we have a lot of fun as well. So, all
And
those
our
listening,
sponsors,
yes,
who
all those listening,
are wonderful.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
that they should do.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back.
Wait a minute.
No, that's the beginning of the show,
Sorry.
Joe.
My bad.
Anyway, one of my very favorite people and dear friends is with me today, Vaughan Pederson with Clean Air. That would be you, Vaughan, down there. He was looking around the studio. I was like,
Who's here?
What's he talking about? Well, I got to put out a good image here. And Vaughan has a very unusual technology that is gets rid of mold and bacteria and smells and odors and that. As best as you can, explain that technology and how it's applied.
Exactly. Well, I use electrocatalytic technology. It's very new technology. Most people have never, ever heard of it. And most people don't really care about the science behind what I do. When I explain it to doctors or nurses, if I'm treating a home for a doctor or a boat or something or a commercial building, people will really ask about the technology. But basically, it's electrocatalytic, so I apply a technology that uses no consumable chemicals whatsoever. It uses electricity and a catalyst, and it creates oxygen species O8, which will flood a building. And exactly. But basically, I'll sterilize all the air and the surfaces inside a home, a commercial building, a car, a boat. Just got back from the lake and been down to Kima, and what happens is you get yachts that people take out and play with once in a while. The rest of the time, they're closed up, and the sun is beating on them. And when you go in there, the air is not only stale, but you have some horrendous problems with indoor air quality.
Does it kill bacteria? Is that the process?
It does. It eliminates bacteria. It eliminates smoke. Actually, will pierce the molecular wall of the smoke, the carbon. So it'll reduce it to just protein fragments. It's very effective with smoke. Gets rid of cat dander. I recently did a house to get rid of cat dander for some people that were allergic. If people have upper respiratory conditions, things like this. And it eliminates MRSA. MRSA is the flesh-eating staph that was recently in the news in Galveston and also in other coastal waterways.
So, and the reason you can't go to treat all these hospitals that are having the issues with that, where MRSA is occurring, is that they can't move the patients? Is that the issue?
In the hospitals, you always have people in a hospital, and the treatment that I apply, you treat a home or a commercial building or an area that's uninhabited. So no people, no pets during the treatment. And
how long do they have to be out of the house then?
Most times I can treat a house in 8 hours total. Sometimes if it's a real bad smoke home, if people have smoked in it for years, which I had one just the other week, that needs to be done overnight because it'll take additional time. It may take 12, 24 hours. And I offer a guarantee with all my treatments, so that if I need
that's not a taillight warranty, is it?
That's not a taillight warranty, no. It's a 12-month guarantee. So if your home needs to be retreated for the same problem within 12 months, I do it at no additional charge. So I do get rid of the problem.
Yeah, well, smoke has always been an issue, and most people recommend, just encapsulate it with new paint. Yeah. And what really occurs, though, that smoke ultimately comes through the new paint.
It leaches back out. Paint is porous. Even some of the well-known paints that you charge extra for, that they'll paint over it, that's supposed to seal the smoke in the walls. It really doesn't work. After a while, the paint works its way back out. The smoke works its way back out through the paint. So it's best, if I'm going to treat a home that people have smoked in, usually I'll tell them, if you're going to pull the carpets anyway, pull them. Let me treat the home before you paint it.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've talked about this quite a bit, is that people undergoing cancer treatment can really benefit by your service because of the getting rid of the bacteria, because your immune system's compromised when you're getting treatments and things like that. Talk about some of that, what you've done on that.
Exactly. I have doctors here in Houston that recommend to their patients that I treat their homes because they're undergoing cancer treatment, cancer therapy, and they have no immune system. And most of the time when people get sick, they get sick from something that's inside their home because that's where they spend most of their time. So I'll treat a home for a patient and eliminate anything that's bacterial, any other problems within the home that will make them sick. In Houston, we have a lot of condensation in our ductwork, and things end up growing in our ducts that are unfortunately never roses or tulips. They're always things that we don't want to have in the ductwork.
No duck jokes.
But what if I don't have a duck? I've only got a dog.
I knew it. I could see his little mind.
The wheel's spinning, yes.
Wheels are spinning.
Wheels spinning right there.
I do treat homes to get rid of, and typically when I treat homes, and the reason that most of my business comes as referrals from real estate is that people usually have their homes treated when they're selling their home. And the reason is, to them, it just smells like their home. But to everybody else coming in to look at a home,
it smells like their 3 dogs, their smoking,
their fish, any kind of problem.
I've got 3 dogs. There's no way it smells like 3 dogs.
Actually, your house does not smell like 3 dogs.
I'm just joking.
4?
Yes. It smells like 3 llamas.
Go there.
Well, it's many times, in most cases, when people put their home for sale, then their real estate professional will talk to them in a post-inspection type of situation and say, we've had people come through the house in open houses, and we're getting the same comments on the cards all the time. They love the floor plan, they love the location, but your house smells. And this is a surprise to many people because to them it just smells like their house. They've gotten used to the smoke, they've gotten used to the cats. whatever the problem
Cooking
is.
odors and things like that.
Listen, burnt curry, big problem.
Yeah.
I did a house out in Greatwood one time that the people that lived there cooked with curry, and they had a 6-foot red Buddha statue with incense poking out of it, about 106 of incense. You could smell the house out on the driveway.
Oh my!
Before you
And of course, they're immune to it because they're there every day.
To them, it's
home.
Well, one of the things that most people don't realize is the first sensory that you end up when you go in to look at a home or you walk into a place is the sense of smell.
Yeah,
that is the absolute first thing. In fact, in the real estate side of things, they say curb appeal is the first thing, and then when they walk inside the house, smell is the second.
It's the number one trigger for memories too.
Yep.
So smells are very important. But we talked about a lot of times you'll get someone called because of cat smells, and I'm not. I don't want to say brutal.
Is that called a cat call?
No, not a cat call.
Okay.
And not a cat house.
And not a cat house.
The producer is taking notes now.
Buy more donuts, I think, is what I can see on the
She
pad
said,
over
they're
there.
not paying me enough. They're not paying me enough.
It's probably the report for the FTC.
Well, cats are a problem, and here's the real problem with cats. I've had people say, look, we recarpeted, we repainted, the house still smells horrible from cats. And here's the reason why. When cats
They get in the vents. And
well, yeah, the bacteria from cat urine sporulates, and it gets in the air. It goes through the ductwork.
You rent that word for the day?
Sporulates.
You had to
This
turn back
show
in.
brought to you by the letter S.
But
Meaning sporulates.
you have sporulation, and it gets in the vents. And since we have condensation in our vents, we live in Houston. When the AC comes on, it chills the ductwork. The ductwork starts to sweat. You get condensation. Anything going through your sticks and starts to grow. So the bacteria actually gets worse. I had someone call me the other day and say, my house smells bad when the AC comes on. And it smells horrible. And that's the problem. There's something that's gotten up in the ductwork. When I treat a house,
Too much sporolidification.
Too much of that. When I treat a house, I treat all the ductwork, the AC, the plenum, everything related to the AC and heater and ductwork. So all of that is sterilized when I treat a home. That's a part of the process because that's where a lot of the problem is.
It brings in the
How long does that take,
sporolidifier.
by the way?
Pardon?
What's the average time frame it takes? I mean, because you're treating quite a bit inside a home.
6 to
Well,
7
I have
months.
to look at and really price is based on the location of the home and the number of square feet. But also many times I have to go to look at it because to some person what a little odor problem might be, to other people it might be huge. So I go look at a house. Most houses range between about $600, $650 to about $950, depending on where they're located and what the square footage is and just the nature of the problem.
Well, I think that's a great segue because the questions I have for you is this. Well, Vaughan, there's people out there who I see advertising $149 to come out and clean the ductwork. Why should I call you?
It's well. The reason for that is this. I'm very careful about talking to people about getting ductwork clean because some companies actually push brushes and different things through the ducts, and when they do that, it'll separate the tape joints in the ductwork, and then you've got a real problem inside there.
Cooling the plenum. Yes.
Oh yeah, real issues. So. What I prefer to do is treat it this way because I do no damage. I don't poke any holes in the ductwork. And it really sterilizes the inside of the ducts. And when I'm done, it's remarkable how much less dust there is in a house. I treated one the other day, and as the people walked in, they said, our house looks different. And that's because you don't have all the dust particles and everything else, the sporulation, in the house that's refracting and reflecting light.
Word of the day.
Word of the day.
Sporulation.
Word of the day.
So
He's got a top-notch sporalizer.
Let me tell you real quick how you can find out more as we're going to go to break here real quick. It's cleanair.com, CLEANEAIR.com, 832-276-6000, Vaughan Pederson. And if you just Google Clean Air Services or do a YouTube search, I have a wonderful YouTube channel with many people giving great
Testimonials.
telling their stories, testimonials about the great job that Clean Air does.
And when someone engages, what's the time frame? In other words, is it an all-day affair? Do they have to leave the house for the day? How does that work?
They do have to be out of the house, and they have to take their pets out of the house. Okay. So in some cases, I can do it just during the day while they're at work. Other times, I need to do it overnight. And in many cases, the homes are empty because they're between in the sales cycle. So, but I'm very flexible. And I can help people with that.
That's interesting. You know, and the reason why I like to ask that is a lot of times individuals want to know, you know, does it have to be an empty home? You know, what other costs aside from, you know, just being in there is going to be associated with it. So that's pretty interesting, especially so an empty home, one of the best homes to do.
Yeah, an empty home is a good home to do, but I'm very flexible and can work with people and get it done. And like I say, I offer a 12-month guarantee. As long as we don't have another hurricane, another source of moisture, another cat,
you always,
guards.
the one caveat you always tell me, if you're treating for cat odor and you bring the cat back, you can't guarantee against that.
Yeah.
Right.
If I'm going to treat it for cat odor, then the cats can't come back.
We can't just treat the cat one time and
Yeah,
You can, and that will solve the problem.
Yeah, leave him in the house during treatment.
You know, and I know how that feels. I mean, I have Joe over to the house. He leaves every time, like, oh gosh, you know, and then he comes back in, stenches back over again.
yeah, it's true. It's true.
Actually, though,
roll.
we are coming up against a break again. Time flies when you're having fun. We got one last segment to go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back. And the whole time Rob's been talking to us on the mic, actually. It's pretty funny, yeah.
You know, I am a professional.
You are a professional. That is correct.
Vaughn, I want to talk to you about sick homes. That homes that typically will, people go there, and they'll be staying there, and they often get, you know, colds, you know, sinuses issues and things like that.
Like what our producer was talking about.
Our producer was talking about, and a lot of times the culprit is you've got dust and bacteria in the house that's causing it.
Exactly. I can give you a couple of quick examples.
Please do.
I treated a home where, very nice home, big beautiful home over in West U, and the mom and the daughter were sick, and they avoided one room of the house, and they always had a problem in that particular room. And called an AC friend of mine to come. We took a look at it. The problem was that neighbors had put in mulch in their yard real close to the AC unit. And it was drawing in, of course, you know, it's in mulch. There's a lot of bacteria and things in mulch. And it got into the condensation in the ductwork in that room and really caused a problem. There had also been a leak at one time in that house. And when you have a leak in a source of moisture, mold starts to grow in sheetrock. It sporulates, once again, and you have problems with many times, as you were saying, when you sleep. At night, when you're sleeping, you'll really come into these problems. Then you'll also notice that if you're out of the house, if you're on vacation, you're at work, or you're somewhere for 3 days, the problem clears up because you're not in the house. So I treat houses for that. I treat commercial buildings. I did a couple buildings here in town that had the dirty sock syndrome. And that's when the AC. I know, right?
I know.
But suffering
You
from
promised
dirty
Joe
sock
you were going to
syndrome.
talk about that online, though, on air.
The problem is that you get a lot of things that accumulate in ductwork, in commercial buildings and in houses sometimes. And when the AC comes on, it smells like feet. It smells like dirty socks. Terrible. And,
So donate to the DSS Foundation.
Exactly.
We're doing the ice
Don't let
bucket
this-
challenge.
Don't let this happen
with
to
soap.
you. So what I do is I treat it and I get rid of that. And I have some AC people that call me exclusively to come and fix those type of problems. So it's good to get rid of smoke, mold, odor. It'll make your home a healthier place for you to be. If you have a sick child and your child seems to be ill or ill at night and developing problems with upper respiratory problems or eye problems or nose problems, a lot of that's because of what's in your home.
Yeah.
If you have teenagers, that can be a problem.
Well, I don't know if that'll help or not, but I think that was a really important thing that you said about having an AC person, is because a lot of times over the time ductwork does get loose, and of course your houses are closed up. We don't open up our houses that much in Houston, Texas.
No,
and so we're constantly in a closed environment, and you've got ductwork that's exposed to the plenum area of the attic, you know, and so it's sucking in dust and whatever moisture might be there on a consistent basis. So along with having you come out and do it, they might have somebody come out and check the ductwork and make sure it's taped correctly.
Yeah, that's key. And of course, I've had laboratory tests done on the effectiveness of the clean air electrocatalytic treatment, and it's extremely effective against MRSA, the flesh-eating staph. And it's also very effective against E. coli, other airborne bacteria and problems, influenza A. And I actually got a call from a military microbiologist just 2 weeks ago telling me that he'd been reviewing the findings of the tests, and he felt that, in fact, he said he was certain that clean air technology would eliminate Ebola. And, of course, that's very timely right now with what's going on in people being afraid to travel.
Already infected, it'll help it from being somebody else.
It won't cure somebody who has it, but if you have an area that's been contaminated, you can decontaminate, for example, an airplane. Or
it will kill the virus, however, it's terminal for the patient.
It's really serious problem, and we are actually going to be in the lab testing for Ebola here in just a couple of weeks. So a lot of good, exciting things going on for Clean Air. If you're listening and want more information, cleanair.com, CLEANEAIR.com, 832-276-6000. Vaughan Pederson.
Our producer's writing that down now.
She is right now. I'm telling you, she's on top of it. I think she also just wrote, buy more donuts.
She told me earlier she'd been eating those donuts for 5.5 years, and she's like rail thin. So I don't know how she does. But she says she has kids at home, so I know she's chasing them around and staying in shape.
Now, Vaughn, I've got a quick question for you, bud.
Sure.
A lot of times we go to put internal piers in a home.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good percentage of the time where a homeowner will choose to saw out the slab in the house as opposed to tunnel it, just to save on cost. That creates a humongous dust problem.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, sawing concrete, if anybody's ever seen it, it's a mess. Clean Air Services, will that take care of that dust problem?
We actually really impact dust problems, whether it's concrete dust, sheetrock dust, whatever the problem is. The process actually pulls all the air in the house. I'll turn over all the air in the house 500 to 800 times, sometimes 1,000 times, turning over that air through the machines. Inside the machine, we have a H2O2 hydrogen peroxide vapor that never leaves the confinement of the machine, but everything pulled through there will collapse dust. It also is very effective, of course, killing bacteria, virus, things like that, mold. But it really impacts dust tremendously. So I have people call me and they'll say, I've got this house I want to buy, but it has old people smell. Or it has, well, everybody knows what that is. That just describes it, right? Or a dust has real bad dust problems. Of course, any home that has a water leak, you first have to fix the leak, and then...
That would be sectarian sporolidification.
Yes. It could be. Septuagenarian.
Septuagenarian. There we go. Sectarian. I don't. Yeah,
could be
totally the wrong word.
That's we have the right radio station, but the wrong subject.
It is an S word, which is
S is
the letter of the day.
The letter of the day. Exactly.
I just went to the wrong one.
But I do a lot of work in those areas to reduce dust.
Okay.
To reduce those kind of problems. Any airborne or surface pathogen. So biopathogen, chemical pathogen. I treat brand new homes to get rid of the VOCs from the varnishes and things that are used.
I was about to ask you that question. And they're not mobile homes anymore. They are manufactured homes, are especially known
prefabricated homes.
Yeah, the formaldehyde odors.
Formaldehyde is a real problem in some new RVs.
The glues and all that they use.
Glues, adhesives, and sometimes I'll treat homes to get rid of adhesives that the carpets were put down with. Different people have different allergies. Different people are subject to different problems with building materials, varnishes, paints, and things. So I'll come in and treat a brand new home to get rid of the odor and the problems from varnishes. And I had a friend of mine, he may be listening today, Michael, if you're out there, that had a home that had problems with the floors. When they came in and re-varnished the floors, restained the floors, they had like 3 shots at it. They couldn't get it right. Finally, they got it right in terms of the color. But they used a marine stain.
Oh, my.
And the house, walking in that house, even after the floors dried, was like walking into a tub of kerosene.
That would burn your eyes pretty severely.
Ever, yeah. And his wife was pregnant, and they didn't want to be in the house. So it did take longer. It took a couple of days to get rid of the problem, but it worked, and they were so pleased. And they've had me treat a couple other houses since then.
I guess the alternative to that would be light a match, right?
Yeah.
Yet again, another solving of the problem, creating a much larger one.
Yeah. And then they'll come out and have me treat it for spark damage.
Yeah, no kidding. I talk, and when I teach class, I talk a lot about lead-based paint. In a solid state, it's absolutely harmless. But when it becomes a friable state, which is usually when you're sanding it.
Right. As soon as it becomes airborne.
It becomes airborne and you inhale it or ingest it. That's when it becomes very dangerous. And the case I always use, there's a woman that was pregnant, but while she was pregnant, she was remodeling a house, an older house, and all the particulars there, and the baby was born quite deformed. And so something like this, would it take care of that lead dust?
It'll take any dust or particulate out of the air. So I would say just on the surface that it would certainly improve it tremendously. It may not eliminate it altogether, but it would improve it tremendously. And
would you say would it be an advisable thing? I know, like when we get carpet, and you may have said this, I don't know, when we get new carpet in the house, that type of thing.
Yes, he already did say that, by the way.
He did? It's good to treat in that situation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very much so. Anytime you get new carpet, adhesives, you never know what people may have a problem with. When you remember Andro Airport that used to be over where, what is that, Royal
Oaks.
Royal Oaks, that's where Royal Oaks is. I did several homes in Royal Oaks because the raccoons and some of the animals that lived in that real wooded area around the airport moved into people's attics. After that happened, and kind of gnawed into some of the ductwork.
Well, we
started using
we did
the
cut their
ductwork.
trees down and stuff.
Yeah, we did. We took
hey.
their homes, so I guess they decided to take ours.
As long as you're paying rent, right?
But exactly. Well, if you get animals in the attic and they get in the ductwork and they start doing things in the ductwork they shouldn't do, you'll have problems in the house, and this really helps eliminate those type of problems.
Well, Vaughan, we're kind of running out of time here, so let's.
Peace.
Yeah. What do you want to leave people with? What kind of information do you want to leave them with?
I would say this: if you have any questions, if you want to know more, you can call me. Certainly, you can call me at 832-276-6000. I'm local here in Houston. I do get out of the Houston area to do some problems from time to time. Looking at expanding actually soon. Also, you can just search Clean Air Services, but you have to spell it right. There's a lot of clean airs out there. CLEANEAIR.com. You can go to YouTube and look at Clean Air Services, and you can look at a lot of wonderful testimonials from people whose problems I have solved. So give me a call. Check us out on the web. Check us out on YouTube, and I'll be happy to help you with whatever problem you have with airborne and surface problems in your home.
That's Vaughan Pederson with Clean Air. John Dowdy with Permapeer. What do you want people to know?
Long story short, if you've got foundation concerns, whether it be something you've noticed in your home in the buying or selling process, something an inspector has said or flagged, give us a call. Let an expert come out and look at it. You can get on our website. It's www.permapeer.com. It's PERMAPIER.com. You can call our office at area code 713-849-9993.
You know, and everything's very important here. You know, we always like to leave every week with a good saying. The fact that we're all short is a pretty good saying right now. It says, great things are done by a series of small things brought together.
That
We're all
sounds
brought
like
together
my
today.
mom, trying to perk me up in childhood.
That is correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. That or your mother-in-law, right? Time flies when you're having fun. We always have fun here. Until next week, we are out.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes. That's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.